Hey everyone, welcome to ELI, the place where you get your daily dose of inspiration for entrepreneurship. And today we have with us Mr. Rohit Anand, co-founder of OneDigitalStack.ai and founder of Zingavita Kids Nutrition. Rohit is a graduate of INSEED and has been a serial entrepreneur throughout his journey. He's also an angel investor in startups such as Blue Tokai Coffee, Biryani Blues, Wiziki, to name a few. Hey Rohit, welcome to ELI.
Hey, thanks a lot, Priya Ranjan, for hosting me here. It's a real pleasure to be here. So thanks for that. Yeah, let me begin by giving a brief introduction about myself
Sure.
and the journey. Um, as you mentioned, I've been a serial entrepreneur, um, and actually I started. I'm 51 now, and I'm just going to be 51. And I started my entrepreneurial journey in like 99 2000 when I was 29 30, and I started with a women's community portal, pretty much along the lines of a Shiro's or a Mom's Presso and so on. And perhaps it was too ahead of its time or whatever, and the whole thing didn't really fly. And after a 1.5 year of that journey, I kind of realized that it's really not going anywhere.
Mm-hmm.
And we decided to close the venture. And I actually then went to INSEAD in France, and thereafter got a job in France, in Europe, first in Switzerland, then in France. Prior to the venture, I had worked in the pharmaceutical industry in India with Ranbaxy and so on.
Uh-huh.
And when I went after INSEAD, I got a job in the global biopharma industry
Mm-hmm.
with Amgen and Sanofi and so on. But my heart was always in entrepreneurship. So even when I lived in very idyllic Switzerland, which was absolutely incredible for its natural beauty and quality of life, somewhere inside me that there was something pulling at my heart and telling me that, look, I have that entrepreneur in me, and I think that the journey that I couldn't do in phase one, let me try and complete it when once again. And I came back to India late 2007. Joined Biotech for a year,
Mm-hmm.
and in a year's time, I decided to co-found ValueEdge,
Okay.
or rather, found ValueEdge. Um, so ValueEdge was a data analytics company in the pharma space, and I bootstrapped this company and I scaled it from zero, from right up to 200 odd people. And in 2016, from we started the company in 2008, and 2016, in 8 years, we had scaled it up to 200 people. We had an office in Switzerland, an office in Germany, and an office in the US, in Boston. And with a galaxy of clients, including some of the who's who of global pharma.
Mm-hmm.
And I sold this company to WNS in 2016. I had to stay with them till 2019, which is what I did. And after 2019, and my exit having been completed, I've embarked on venture number three, right? And so it's been one venture after another. Um, Something has not worked, something has worked, and currently, as you mentioned, I founded a kids nutrition company called Adthera Consumer Brands. We are bringing uh, beautiful products. We started with gummy bears, and now we are bringing mueslis to the Indian home, both for families and kids, under the brand Zingavita. My other company is OneDigitalStack.ai. This is a data analytics company in the e-commerce space. Um, so it's been a great journey. I mean, and it's had its ups and downs. Um, the only one thing that I would certainly want to share with anybody who's logging in and listening to this is that, uh, you know, entrepreneurship isn't a straight road, right? There's going to be pitfalls. There's going to be unexpected curves that you can't see, and uh, almost a lot of things need to go right. There are n number of variables. There could be, it's product market, as product market fit is a well known. Um, but it's also about getting the product. It's not only about, it's the market has to be there. The market cannot be very large because then there are too many players. The market cannot be too small, otherwise you're choosing too niche an opportunity. So the market size has to be right. The team has to be right. The product market fit has to be right. The capital has to be right. There are so many rights that have to come together, to make it all happen. Yeah, we all read about the great successes, the humongous hits, like a Byju's or or a Flipkart and so on. And yes, they're all there, but that's also sometimes a lot of cherry picking, right? Let's we need to be very realistic. Entrepreneurial journeys have their own pitfalls. There are many. It's also a graveyard at times, and we have to just be resilient. And hits and misses are all part of the game. And if there's one thing that I would like people to take back from this is that be resilient and be when you're out there, because even though you might stumble and fall, you just have to pick yourself up again, like you did when you were a toddler. All of us have stumbled and fallen as a toddler and picked ourselves up again. And that's how we learn to walk. And we have to pick ourselves up again and then say, okay, what did we learn from this, and go on, right? And that's pretty much what I have done, right? Venture did not succeed, but then I continued building my own capability. I went to INSEAD, I did an education, I walked in Europe, I built credentials. Based on those credentials, when I started ValueEdge, I went back to my former employers in Europe. All the clients of ValueEdge were pharma companies in Europe. And how did I find those clients? I found those clients because they were my employers and contacts that I had built when I was in Switzerland working. Right. So one more thing that is very important, I think, if I can put it down as a learning, is do something where you have an unfair advantage. Right. To see ValueEdge, I mean, I picked up pharma analytics. Why pharma analytics? Because I had deep domain expertise. Right. I could build a moat around the business. It's not a it's a niche where not everybody understands the industry, not everybody has the network, not everybody is able to bring. So that there's got to be a secret sauce that you bring, right? I think that is also something which I would like to leave if there's another message. Coming to my current ventures, um, they're diverse ventures, but the way I'm doing it now is that I'm no longer the main man. My co-founders are the main people, and I back them, and then they run the venture, and I play more of a mentoring role. So that's my story, in a nutshell.
I think it's a very interesting and beautiful journey, and been a long journey as well. Now I'll try to decode the entrepreneurship gene in you. Would like to understand what made you to become an entrepreneur. You started at a time when entrepreneurship was not very popular in India. What made you to become an entrepreneur? What made you to start the first venture which you started around women's community?
Yeah, so a lot of times it also, you don't just start like I said, when I was 29. I actually started entrepreneurial ideas and things when I was a teenager, right? And we often, I mean, we heard of Richard Branson and so on. He started selling records and all when he was a teenager, right? And I came from a family where my mother was running a small business of her own, and I was helping her in her business, and I liked that whole thing, right? And it was a gifts business, a small venture called Carnation Gifts, and I was helping her in that business, and I loved the whole thing. And so somewhere inside was always the desire to set something up myself. Then so schooling was Columbus in Delhi. Then college I went to Shri Ram College of Commerce. Then I went to did an MBA from IMT. But then from IMT, I was I got a job with Ranbaxy, and I went into the pharmaceutical sector. And then once I got a job in a big company, it was a typical big company job. But somewhere inside me, that gene of entrepreneurship, that desire that I'll be able to do something on my own and all, was always there, right? So it was around 23, 24 when I started working formally with Ranbaxy in my first job. And then by 29, in another 5 years, I had started on my own. But I think the foundation for these things often comes from the where your family setting, or you've seen some people around you, uh, you know and I think that's oftentimes an inspiration as well.
Rohit, we were talking about the exit that you had taken from one of your venture. Can you tell us a little bit about how the startup exits work, and what are the different intricacies that one should be aware of when thinking of exiting from a startup?
Yeah, so well, thanks for bringing that up. That's an important point. um, One thing I think is that when you think about startup exit, a lot of people think that startup exit should happen when you're $1 billion, or when couple of $100 million. I exited the venture at $20 million, but the company was bootstrapped, so we didn't have any investor in the company. So firstly, all the decision making to exit, the decision to exit itself, and how to exit and whom to exit itself, all the decision making was ours, right? That is very important. And even $20 million, if you think about it, right, it's 150 crore, right? So for individuals, it can be a game changer in their life, right?
Absolutely.
I was a dominant owner in this company. So for me personally, it was over 100 crore exit. And that's a game changer in one's life, right? So I would also encourage people to think that, everybody cannot make it to the front page of the newspaper or the front page of a magazine cover, but it's good enough. It can be a game changer in life. And sometimes, you take these calls as well. As a founding team, my other co-founders, we had all come from a middle class background. We felt that, look, none of us has seen money in our lives. So actually, whatever we were owning of ValueEdge was all paper shares. It is a paper share certificate. If someone converts it into dollars or rupees, then at least there is a value for it. Otherwise, there is nothing. And you're carrying all the tension on your shoulder every day, because you don't know what if the venture goes down. What if what you have created, and for some reason some big clients go away, whatever be the reason, right? So what goes up can also come down, right? We have seen it in other companies also. I don't want to name here, right? But there are journeys that where the venture reaches a certain height, and you know they don't take exit. They want more, or they want to go further, and suddenly they turn a turtle, right? And the car turns over, right? So so sometimes it's a de-risking also that happens. There are other ways in which founders de-risk. For example, founders who take a series B, series C, series D, sometimes they take a part secondary exit in those rounds also. Why are they doing that secondary exit? They're not getting a complete exit. No investor will allow that, but they take a little bit off the table. Why do they take off the table? Because they are de-risking themselves. So the fundamental of exit is you have to think strategically. What do you want? Right? I discussed it with a very wise person, and he told me that, Rohit, if you let us say now exits are also exit could be, I can get an investor who buys 26% of the company. I can get an investor who buys 51% of the company. That is also exit in a way, right? Everything is not 100%. But if there was somebody buying only 26% of the company, the money would not have been big enough for me to be a game changer in my life, right? So I wanted it to be, because then you are neither here nor there, right? Neither you got the full benefit of the exit, neither, and now you are in bed with someone else. So you have to think about it strategically, right? When do you want it? Why do you want it? Does it align with your personal objectives? Does it not? Right? Is there value in continuing further and building still further, or do you want to say, okay, you know? So I think those are the strategic questions. Now, when it comes to the modalities of how, that was the second part of your question. I think we did it professionally. We got an investment banker. We got a large investment banking firm to help us do it. Sometimes there are large firms that are too big and they are not interested in very small deals, obviously. But it's important to get. So we worked with Grant Thornton and they did a great job for us. And so you have to choose your banker or your partner very well. They represent you and they can extract maximum value. Obviously, it's a bit painful to pay them large investment banking fee, which is in crores, and then eventually that's going from your kitty only. But just think of it this way: that had they not been there, maybe the deal itself would not have been possible. And there are many pitfalls that first-time entrepreneurs could fall into. Uh, Another thing is to use a large law firm that is well experienced in this. The higher legal fees, in my view, are well worth it. We used a firm called Khaitan and Company, a large law firm, one of the largest in the country. Uh, there were so many pitfalls that we would have fallen into had we not used a large law firm. So I would always advise that don't try and save on these things. Go with the right advisors. At the end of the day, they should pay for themselves.
Okay. Rohit, another thing I'm very curious about is what happens after you take a successful exit. Uh, uh, if you look at your case, you got a successful exit and then you could have taken retirement from entrepreneurship. Why again jump into uncertainties and you found two different companies? Why this happened?
Yeah, it's all, I think it's a great question and a very deep question. And I think, also something that I had to think long and hard about, right? See, a lot of people like us, we come from a middle class background. We are used to working in the day. If you don't work and you tell me that, you have just leisure, I mean, what do you do? I mean, I'm not, don't watch so many movies, or I don't have, so many friends, or I'll go out with my friends. So how many times, how much I'll be traveling? It's not, so you have a day, right? I mean, you have to develop interests. Today, the pressure is off me and I don't take any more pressures I don't want to take. And I just came back from playing a nice round of golf with some friends. I've taken two new interests like golf and so on. Uh, got a lovely pup in the house, things like that. So I balance my life. But at the same time, yeah, there are, I think I'm still young enough that I can give a lot, to ventures and so on. However, I've changed my role, right? I'm no longer in an crazy operating kind of role, right? Where I'm the operating leader. In One Digital Stack, I have a very accomplished co-founder who has come from Unilever and ITC and an MBA from FMS, Tarun Jot Singh, and he's running the show. In Zingavita, again, I have a very accomplished co-founder, Sachin Goel, who's come from Cardeco, etc., who's running the show. So my co-founders are running the show. I may be able to provide a lot of things sometimes because I have a network or I have a reach and so on, or maybe help in the fundraise and so on. We did a small fundraise in Zingavita, but I'm not taking any more operational. So it's a model where I'm trying to seek some balance in my life, and the key is the balance, right? How do you get that balance? You can do a few hours of work, a few hours of keeping up to your own interests, and of course you have to have interests. Otherwise, if you don't have interests, then it's a very sad life in itself, right? So that's what I'm trying to do. There's no perfect answer here, and but I think right now I'm in a happy space.
Speaking of work-life balance, I think entrepreneurship is a stressful journey, and you have to stay focused and energetic throughout the journey, and you have to be consistently at it throughout the journey. However, there would be instances where you may feel tired or restless or not able to focus, and when you go through that, the business suffers. Can you tell us from your long journey when that happened to you? How did you manage such situations?
So to be very on again, thanks for asking this question. It's a very good question and very deep question again. Everybody is different. I don't take stress well, right? It does. I get stressed easily, and it had taken a toll on my health. I had my blood pressure had increased. I was on medication. Uh, when I get very stressed, I relieve my stress by eating a lot of junk food, comfort food. I sit down. There was a time then near in front of my office in Nehru Place, we had this McDonald's, and I used to get stressed, and I used to go to McDonald's and just order two burgers and a plate of fries and sit in a corner and just relax and just eat. But that's that took an impact on my health. That played on my health. My weight increased, other problems because of the weight increase and so on. So you can easily lose health. You easily lose, because we are all. Let's face it, we are all human first. We are entrepreneurs second, but first we are human, right? And it cannot be the other way around. And we all have families. The family may be having its own pressure that tells on us. Our wives, our children, our parents. I mean, all of us have all these. This is our everybody has an ecosystem. You're not isolated, right? Suppose something happens to anybody else in the family, it does take a toll, right? There could be a stress, and so I think one has to be very aware of this firstly, and then make a very conscious effort that health is going to be important. You're running a marathon. You're not running a sprint. You have to take care of your health. Take care of avoid junk foods. Avoid shakes and colas and stuff like that. Eat right. Exercise. All of these things. It's easy to say. It's very easy to say. And all of us, we are all educated. All of us have this. You just have to Google for, even in 1 minute, you'll find all hundreds of articles on this, on the internet and all this. But how many of us can do that balance, right? It's not easy. And I think it's very important. And of course, a lot of people have said that it's important to have stability in your personal life, your partner, your spouse. I think these things are very important. I was very lucky. My wife, Neeti, she has stood by me like a rock, and she was there for me. And at all stages in my life, when I went through my own lows, when my venture did not work out, of course I went through my lows. Of course it was not easy. Uh, you know, and it was not easy to go to INSEAD. I did not have the funds. I took a loan. Again, stress because of financial stress. Then would I get a job in Europe or no? Another stress. So I've had to go through all those stresses, right? And I was on shaky ground as well, and I have to admit that yes, I was on shaky ground. Things now it's okay because I can look back, but when I was actually going through it, it was really tough. And so I would just suggest that it's very important to have your family with you, your extended family also as far as possible, standing with you. And I hope that the family can understand also that what you are going through. um, when at times my travel was incessant, because of this incessant travel, it's not going to be that when you're traveling, will also eat healthy and all of that. At that time, it was only about winning business from the client. It was not about this. So trade-offs are there, but one has to understand them and make quick corrective action. That I think is very important.
Speaking of lows, can you tell us what are the failures you have gone through as an entrepreneur?
Too many. Too many. And if you haven't gone through failure, as they said, I don't know where I read this, that means you haven't tried enough number of things. If you are so risk averse, so many people tell me that, you are so risk averse. Then I say to people, go and get a bank job, right? Or a government job. Then there's no risk. They will never make a mistake. You don't have to do anything. You just stick to the rules. They have written the rules. They have framed the policy. You have to execute that policy. Execute it. So there are so many risks if you look back in life, that not only, I have also made mistakes in my jobs, sometimes made a move too fast, shouldn't have, uh, you know, couldn't play politics in the organization, couldn't grow because I couldn't do some things, uh, you know, uh, started a company or a venture maybe too soon, not adequately financed, not adequately thought through, not an adequate team. All these were the failures from the first venture. So fundamentals, go back to the fundamentals, market size, right execution, team, capital, all of these things have to be in place, right? So now when I start a venture, I'm more seasoned. I make sure that are we chasing an appropriately large market? Do we have a differentiation or a competitive strength that we bring to that opportunity? What is the moat that we can build? What is the team that we build? Is that the right team to execute that opportunity? Are they all in the entrepreneur, right? Or are they, going to just abandon the ship? Uh, so those are the kind of things that one has learned from failures, right? And now, of course, I'm also, as you mentioned in the introduction, right? I'm also an investor, so I also look at other ventures uh, and back a few entrepreneurs. I love that engagement process itself, and so I bring all of this to the ventures as well, right? So that hopefully the founders also benefit. It's not just about putting capital. Um, yeah.
Probably this is my last question. Speaking of angel investment, can you tell us how does a founder find an angel investor like you?
I mean, there are a lot of good angel investors in this country. I myself am absolutely amazed by the thriving seed and angel and small company ecosystem that we have set up in the country. I mean, somewhere I read that India has the third largest such ecosystem in the world after US and China. It's not a small feat that we have so many. Uh, Now we have so many venture funds, so many angel funds, seed funds. These seed funds in turn are getting their money from LPs. So there are so many LPs, um, and more LPs are coming in because senior executives are also parking part of their savings in early stage companies. It's just mind boggling. And then people who have had exits, or people who have done one venture and so on, they are also now participating. You have big names. I mean, obviously the biggest ones are including Sachin Bansal, Benny Bansal, so many like this are there, right, who are then generating a next set you know wave of companies. So it is really thriving. I am just one among many. And one better than the other, you will find that there are just angels out there, seed funds out there, uh, Of course, one has to be very watchful because there are also sometimes not everybody is with us speaks with a straight bat, if I can say so. So I think one has to be a bit watchful. It's important to work with people whose values match your values, who come with integrity, who come with a straight bat. They talk straight. They don't talk, or and they don't give you, any unfair deal or bash you up. If you are just a naive entrepreneur and there's a seasoned angel or seasoned, I think that is something where the angel may know a lot more. He may be legally very savvy or otherwise very savvy, and he's talking to a person much younger than himself and trying to outfox the other person and negotiate a very hard deal. And those kind of things I would say please avoid, because if you tie yourself up with such people, then you're tied up, and the ghost of that deal will never leave. It will always haunt you later on. And so don't be in a hurry. It's very important to find the right people. There are enough and more people out there. So if you have something really good going, uh, personally, I work very closely with Undeterred Capital. They have an angel fund, so if there are good ideas, good opportunities, I can always put them in front of the investment committee at the Grand Undeterred Angel Fund. And I'm also connected with some other people in the angels ecosystem. So if anybody comes, I would be happy to look at it and then put it in for review.
Uh, I am done with the questions, and it was a great pleasure to host you at ELI. Thanks for your time, Rohit, and our best wishes for all the ventures you are building and funding right now. Thanks for attending this session.
Hey, thanks a lot, Priyaranjan. I really appreciate your reaching out, and you just reached out, and we've done this already, and it's been such a pleasure. And I really like the questions as well. So I look forward to the podcast being out there, and I hope that the feedback is also good, and we hear positively from maybe some people. It impacts in a positive way.